Good morning, dear friends. I am glad to be with you and among the breathing. It's a slightly drizzly day here in Portland. Plants need rain badly. So I am Robert Beatty. I'm coming to you from my tent in Beaverton, Oregon. It's part of the Portland Insight Meditation community. We're living in the time of the coronavirus. There's a lot of madness happening. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of wishful thinking. And we are beginning the experiment of trying to open up the commercial world again and the world of contact. The experiment elsewhere in the world is showing us that we need to go really slowly, and we're not. So we're on a wild ride. We're on a wild ride. The wild ride of human existence. "51 years ago, I left Montreal, Canada, on a ship. I went to the port and I found a freighter that was going to Australia. And actually I looked in ships in port. And I asked the captain if I could work my passage, and he said yes, I could get $1. I'd be paid $1, and I would be a mess boy. And it was quite an amazing adventure, the beginning of my travels, really. My travels outside North America. I carried with me one book, Robert Frost poems, collected from poems of Robert Frost. And it's still on my bookshelf, actually. I carried it successfully all those years. But I came across this poem that was very important in my life. When I read it, it felt like, I don't know, like an old leather wallet or something, or an old familiar slipper. You'll probably know it. It's really a famous one. And one other word in framing it. The Buddha said that to follow the inward path is to go against the stream. To follow the path of the Dharma is to set a different course, not to go with the impulses of our instinctive nature all the time, but to actually choose what we say, what we think, and how we act. The road not taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one, as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy, and wanted wear. Though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I marked the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And Robert Bly said, I had a chance to do 2 or 3 men's retreats in the woods in Mendocino with Bly and Hillman and Mead and the men of the mythopoetic movement. He said, always read a poem at least twice. You hardly get the landscape if you do it just once. The road not taken. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I marked the first for another day. Yet, knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. That sure has some deep resonance. The road inward. The road that has to do with embracing everything that comes in life. The pleasant, the unpleasant, the happy, the sad, the healthy, the sick. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. I just remembered the title of one of Jon Kabat-Zinn's book, Wherever You Go, There You Are. We always take ourselves with us. And so let us sit. From our perch, wherever we are, in Portland, in Doha, in Whitehorse. Let us come home to this body, to this mind, to this emotional self. Can never predict what mood we'll come into the morning with. We can dream anything. One of the good arguments for a regular, significant morning sit is that if we're going to take responsibility for brushing our teeth before meeting the world, shouldn't we brush our minds? So noticing it is alive again or still. Notice the life in the feet, in the knees and the thighs. Contact with the chair. The back, the abdomen. The life of the organs cradled deep in the pelvis, the genitals, the anus, perineum. It's all alive. The hands, the fingers, the middle finger of the left hand. Isn't it remarkable how we can just suddenly be awake in the thumb of the right hand? In the shoulders and the neck, the jaw, the lips. Let your lips tighten a little bit, just a little bit, as though you were to pucker, to kiss. And then release that. Tremendous sensitivity in the lips. Notice the life of the tongue. The cheeks, the eyes, the forehead and the scalp. The crown of the head and the ears. And we are creatures who live at the bottom of the ocean of air. We walk on the surface of the earth. And we breathe. embrace this breathing as though your life depended on it, which of course it does. And let the breathing breathe itself. This practice is fundamentally not about self-improvement. It is about self-acceptance. Sometimes the breath is long, sometimes it's short. It has any number of textures. Be present for them all. There is nothing but mystery here. There is a living form known as the body. We each think of it as my body. And there is this knowing it. There is this consciousness. As well as the body, there will arise in consciousness thoughts, intense thoughts, wandering minds, emotions, the 5 hindrances: desire, aversion, restlessness, agitation, worry, sloth and torpor, and doubt. And the whole artist's palette of emotions, from bliss and joy and tranquility to anguish, to rage, to fear. These are the landscapes through which we travel. The great relief of meditation is we don't have to manipulate any of it. We don't have to improve any of it. Simply present with what is. And we cultivate awareness and concentration by being as intimate as we can with life's experience. Notice this next breath as it comes out of nothingness. It's not there, and then it is there. And then be with this breath through its coming to fullness, and then its decline, and then its absence. because of our sitting posture, our uprightness. When we fall into some deep trance states, the body lets us know. Somehow or another, the mystery of awakening happens. We can take this, and we do take this awakeness for granted. It's been our experience since we emerged on the planet. It was quite a discovery on the part of the Buddha that training this awareness and this concentration is what leads to freedom and happiness and contentment. Embracing this life. Right now, not later. There is no later, there's only now. Sometimes in meditation, thoughts of time arise. How much longer will this happen? Or how long have I been here? Those thoughts arise in the now, in the present moment. And there's nothing to do about them because they simply arise and pass away. What will I do later today? I've got to remember this. Thoughts arising and passing away. The past and future. Classes of thoughts that exist now. Setting ourselves free moment by moment on the path less taken. And so we let go and let go and let open. And on the other side of the spectrum, we cultivate love and compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity, patience. So changing gears a little, feeling this body. Say something nice to your body internally. Thank you for healing so often. Thank you for sending me sensations of pain when I need to do something different. Thank you for the sense doors you provide. Seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching. And a basis also for mind. Our bodies are very temporary dwellings, they're kind of like motor homes. They take us places. They let us relate to other beings. There is the great mantra, I love you. Don't hesitate. Be profligate with I love you. Be the first to say I love you in a relationship. Or at least to think it. Feeling now any tightness or tenseness in your body. And let yourself move mindfully, stretching a little. Don't abandon yourself. Stay mindful when you move. Particularly when we leave this sitting spot we're in, be mindful with your next activity, getting up. And now noticing the eyes, feel them from the inside, and then allow them to open. Open them intentionally. With an intention. And there you all are in your postage stamp size selves. Hello. I have a couple of announcements. I like the first one. Thank you. With some regularity, I make comments about generosity and the importance of sharing the support of a Dharma center to keep everything running. And lo and behold, people have been responding. You have been responding. Last month, PIMC had 75 new contributors. So this going online is really connecting us with people. That's cool. I give gratitude. Hey. Invite you to check out Facebook, or I guess going to the website also would help. That Doyle is doing his pandemic challenge, 5 days in a row of videos on the 5 powers in Buddhism. And I guess one other reminder, just that this practice is intended to be done 24 hours a day. There's no time off. There's no breaks. And so remember, when you wake up in the morning, when's the first moment when you're aware? And then when you go to sleep at night, do you go to sleep on an in-breath or an out-breath? Asked my teacher in Burma so long ago. I never got that one, but I think I have experienced waking up on an in-breath. Because there is a moment, you're not there, and then boink. And how does that happen? I don't know, but it's pretty remarkable. So the Dharma Talkette, I'm going to continue with this little teaching on it's a huge teaching actually, but it's on the path to awakening. And by way of review, we set out on the inner journey. We discover a mind which is untrained, chaotic, and driven by instinct. We encounter the 5 hindrances: sensual desire, aversion, ill will, restlessness, agitation and worry, sloth and torpor, and skeptical doubt. We become very familiar with them. We use them as the manure to create our awakening. We use a meditation object to stabilize the mind. We abandon and set aside or repress the hindrances for a while, and we work with our moral and ethical behavior, the 5 precepts, as I talked about the other day. We embrace life, all the different experiences that come to us. And then, this is where it starts getting really fun, we cultivate as antidotes for the 5 hindrances the 7 enlightenment factors. And I'm going to go over them just as a quick survey this morning and then come back. Mindfulness. Mindfulness is like turning on the lights. And with the lights turned on, we can be curious. We can notice what's happening in this mind. What perception is occurring? What thought? What emotion? How is it that I flipped out over that email I got a little while ago? And we get very curious about our inner process. And this is why meditators become so weird. That they want to talk about things like, I noticed yesterday my greed factor was really up, and people start drifting away from you. That's why it's important to have meditator friends. Persistence, energy. We have to keep coming back and making the effort to do our practice. And then rapture and joy begin to emerge. We get a rapture is a feeling in the body, those pleasant feelings of delight and the mood of joy. And we further build on this with developing concentration by frequently coming back to a chosen object. With equanimity, where we learn how to be with whatever is occurring, pleasant or unpleasant, without freaking out, without having to distract ourselves. And lastly, tranquility. If you think of a tranquil lake, we're cultivating that as well. And when these are in balance, then the path goes on. But for today, I'm going to stop there and come back out of this. These are just a little dharmet to pique your interest. If you wanted to look up something further on the 7 enlightenment factors, just Google it. You'll find it. Or go to accesstoinsight.org and Google it there. No, and search it there. Have to be careful. So, I am really appreciative of your presence and applaud us all for gathering together like this. This is Sangha coming together to support each other. And I wish you well in whatever obstacles and challenges come your way today. Actually, I have one more poem I think I want to share. I was in debate with that Robert Frost poem this morning. Let me see if I can find it quickly. It is down way at the bottom, Wendleberry, under W. Here it is. It's a poem called Struggle and Confusion. It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings. It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings. Wendell Berry. I'll send that to the listserv before I leave the tent this morning. So I want to open up to your joys and sorrows, questions, discoveries, sharings. So please just unmute yourself if you wish to say something. And I want to invite those of you that are traditionally quiet, if something comes up, please feel free. No requirement, of course, but Maria Cristina, I don't have Facebook, in which case go to portlandinsight.org and I'm not sure where it is, but look for Doyle Banks challenge. And also, if you are on the listserv, you will get all the information about this. That's a very simple way to do it. And you can get on the listserv on the website. And if that isn't clear, just email me, robert@robertbeatty.com, and I'll pass it on to Avi. No, better. Write to Avi, A-V-I, at portlandinsight.org and say you'd like him to put you on the listserv. There. That was good, wasn't it? So, a hand is up.
Robert, this is Jim here in Hood River.
Hi, Jim.
Now, two things. I'd like to, first of all, thank you for explaining or teaching or demonstrating the value of reading the poems twice. That was a new experience for me. But the reason I want to say something is I have a puzzle. And you said be generous in saying I love you, something like that.
Yeah.
Now, before I was married, which was quite a long time ago, there were a number of women that I was really cared for. But I was always afraid to say I love you because I thought, for some reason, by saying I love you, it means I promise to always be here with you. You're my companion for life. I want to get married. I want to have children together. A bigger commitment, actually, of saying I love you than even what you would say when you were getting married. And I wonder where that came from, why I was so afraid of that.
That's a good question, isn't it? You probably didn't grow up in a family where I love you was really normal between people.
That's
So, yes. And of course, love is not really personal. Real love isn't personal. It's what I said. I was saying the other day that, how did it go? Sometimes when we meet, would you open your eyes, please? There, because I want to see you when I say this. Jim, I've known you a while. And when I'm with you, like now, it touches a place of love. And I could say right now, honestly, I love you. Hang on, I lost your picture there. Come back, say something. Oh, you're muted. Unmute yourself again, please. Can you do that? Let me see. Where'd you go?
There. Am I back now?
You're back. Yeah, you're back. 100%. So Isn't it true that when we dare, that's why we daren't stop and really make eye contact with people because
Yes.
there's boundary confusions and uncertainties. But it doesn't take long just gazing into each other's eyes and realizing the preciousness of this other person. And of course, love is there. Unless we're lost in fears and like those fears. I know those fears.
You
Really,
do?
I do. Yeah, sure,
I'm not
sure.
the only one.
You're the only one of you. Yeah. And
Thank
with
you.
oneself, I mean, many people can't say "I love you" with their own name at the end, or it's very awkward for them. And that was true for me at the beginning, and that's kind of crazy
Yeah.
because
Yes.
you know you're the only one of you there is. So why not love yourself? And you're not going to get in trouble with saying "I love you" to yourself. It won't confuse anybody else. Thank you for the question.
You. I love you.
Hi. Oh, wow. That felt good. Still feels good. Huh. Thanks, Jim.
Good morning, Robert.
Susanna.
Hi. I wanted to share something that came up for me when we were checking in with our bodies and we went into our abdomen and all, and you mentioned all the organs. Well, what came up for me then was my body, the inside of my body is full of essential workers. You know, all those people that are out there that, until now people are being grateful for, all the people doing their little important tasks. Well, that's the way I feel about the inside of my body. It's so quiet. It's doing its work. It's allowing me my life experience, my consciousness, my everything. And so I just wanted to give a little shout out to all the little essential parts of me.
Hooray! Hooray!
Yeah.
We could make a song that, hooray for my liver, hooray for
Yeah, seriously, they're all just working away constantly, like our breath.
Yeah. Thank you. Ah,
Yeah,
brings a lot of mirth to me, that idea.
yeah, good.
Good morning, this is Karen. And I just wanted to share that while we were meditating, I could hear a bald eagle the whole time vocalizing way high. Sometimes you can't even see them, they're like in the clouds, but you can hear them.
Wow.
And this is very special.
Thank you, Karen.
Good morning, Robert.
Aha, Sherry.
I'd like to add to Karen's gift about the eagle because yesterday I felt like I received a gift. I've been monitoring an eagle nest out on the little island in front of my house for 15 years. And every year I get so excited when I see Ma or Pa starting to sing. And this year, being confined to my house pretty much, I've been really watching them. And I actually saw them when they sat. And yesterday, I finally saw a little fuzzy head of one of the eaglets just sticking up above the nest, and Ma and Pa feeding it.
How cool.
It's a wonderful gift every year.
Thank you. It's sunny in the Yukon.
Hi there.
Hello, Jilly.
I can't think of anything too much intelligent to say. But,
That's not the criterion.
but I just moved outside so I could actually talk because no one else is moving around the house out here. So it's a gorgeous day in the Yukon. Spring has come. Little buds on the trees are just starting to come out. Canoeing down the Yukon River yesterday, skiing up at the summit above Skagway, Alaska, still in Canada, the day before, over the glaciers and the mountains. And life is incredibly beautiful. Yeah. And then this is a very lovely touchstone for the mornings.
That's
Thank
the
you,
pass we
Robert.
drove over, right? We did that together. one
We
time.
went over the Haines Pass.
Oh,
And
okay.
then this is the Skagway one.
Quite elegant.
Yeah. So it's, but thank you for these mornings, Robert. Very lovely touchstone.
A beautiful thing for me.
Yeah. Paddling down the river yesterday with Martin and Jenny and Danusha and Bruce and Kaylin. So all familiar faces to you.
Yeah, wow.
Big Mother's Day birthday barbecue up on the river bluff above the Yukon River.
I know that spot.
I know you do.
Well, I'll see you in the fall.
Hopefully.
Let's make it happen. Bye-bye.
Hi, Robert. It's Allison.
Allison, hello.
I've been quiet for a while and just feel moved to talk about my a little bit about my experience in meditation this morning. And it was a great feeling to have my imagination kind of go wild. And what I saw with my eyes closed were clouds, and I was up in the clouds, but I could see through different dimensions, and sometimes it was sunny and sometimes it was gray. And I used to fly a lot in a small plane with my father often, and we would fly around clouds, and it was kind of like that. And the concentration was when I had an image of a face or something that the clouds were doing would come to me, and then it would fade, it would go away, and I would just be zeroed in on nothingness. And I have never really had that kind of imaginative experience with my meditation. It was rather fun.
Sounds like it. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
That must have been really fun with your father up in the clouds, in the sky.
It was. It was scary sometimes, but he
Right.
was a wild flyer. Very wild.
Huh.
But yeah, we would be in thunderheads, and he would go way down under and then come up the hole and that kind of thing.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
So
You just reminded me of one of the scarier moments of my life. I was with a fellow. His name was Rob Saville in New Zealand. He had a cattle ranch, and not a cattle ranch, a sheep ranch. And he took me up in his plane, and we were over the southern mountains, really big mountains, and the plane sputtered out of gas. And he said, "Oh shit, I didn't check the gas," and he said, "Find a flat spot." And, and there was no flat spot. We were in big mountains, and after a long time, like a minute and a half or so, I was really scared. He said, "Oh right, the spare," and he turned on the spare tank. Not a kind.
I've had that experience.
That was not.
You could actually see the propeller, and he said, "Bury your heads in your pillows in the back seat." And and I knew I was going to die, but all of a sudden it just went because he was switching tanks, and he always liked to empty the one tank first totally, but it wasn't switching over, and so he was panicked. But yeah, it's just the way it goes sometimes.
The way it goes. Here we are, decades later.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Here I am still alive.
Thanks, Allison.
Yeah, thank you.
Ah, Stephanie with boys again, I see. So much for peace and quiet.
Good morning, Robert. It's Diana.
Hello, Diana.
Yeah, good morning.
How nice to see you.
Thank you. Same here. This has turned into quite the event. There's about 100 people every morning.
Yeah, there were 97 at one point today.
Yeah. So you said something at the beginning that really hit home with me, and it was all this sitting and things that we've worked on. Is the statement that you said it's about self-acceptance instead of self-improvement. And I thought about the bookstore and how large that self-improvement category is.
Yeah.
And that I think that you are acceptable. It's a game changer when you think about it. It really helps with the struggle and the confusion about what we're supposed to be or not supposed to be, or so it was just one of those phrases that's kind of catchy that really kind of turns things around. At least it did for me this morning. And Robert Frost is probably one of my top favorite poets, so I really appreciated the poetry today. So the only other thing that I wanted to say that I've been wanting to say for weeks on end is all of you participants, the ones that contribute, you have no idea what your little tidbits do. I was having a difficult day the other day, and I was out on my walk, and one of our contributors talked about her vertebrae and her bones and how her bones walk. And it got me out of my own head. I started just focusing on my skeletal framework, and it's just, you guys, I just want to tell everyone, please, you might not think it's of any great importance, but sometimes those little bits that you give are just huge in somebody's day. So I thank you, Songa. You guys have been lifesavers.
And before you go, what if it's true that you are and always have been acceptable and even lovable? I mean, what if that's really true? What a burden to drop, huh? It's like, phew. Yeah. Yay.
I was talking to an old friend on the telephone, somebody that I hadn't seen for a while, and she said, I like this Buddhism stuff, but I have a problem with the acceptance. she's a political activist.
Ah,
So she was up against the
yeah.
maybe linguistic problem of acceptance, the difference between acceptance and condoning, and I think that's a tricky one for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I thought about that, how to articulate that more clearly, and what came to me was, I accept that you are just as you are, and I wish you well. And I thought that made it more clear. If I say
Yeah.
if I accept you, it's not so clear that doesn't mean that I accept everything that you do.
Mm.
But if I accept that you are just as you are.
One clarification that helps me with that is that in terms of the meditation, if I don't accept what is right now, I'm at war. Because it already exists. And it should be different. Well, then there's it's an oil and water thing. But in the meditation, to recognize it's this and it's this and it's this, and in this moment this arises, I may choose not to let that thought persist. Shift gears. I might choose to say something different than the impulse. I certainly would choose sometimes to do something different. So it doesn't mean I accept and I'm not going to intervene at all. It means I accept the present moment as it is. And with one's own neurotic, crazy structure, one's personality, it takes a lot of accepting sometimes. Thank you. So it's a little after 8. Anybody sitting with something that you'd like to share before we go?
Robert, I'm sitting with something.
Okay.
Yesterday, during Sangha, the meditation part of Sangha, I sobbed through the entire time. 45 minutes, I could not stop crying. I just cried and cried and cried. And one of the things that there was peace in it because I didn't resist it.
Yeah.
And I didn't need to explain it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I thought it was calming and I just wanted to go inside and sort of check in with myself, I started sobbing again. And I just stayed with it and didn't push it away. I did finally turn off my camera because I just wanted to be sort of alone. But I also stayed with the Sangha. And it was just it was really a hard time, but it wasn't a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, Jim, you started the Tai Chi or the Qigong, and at first I was just watching and still crying, and finally thought, well, my neck is stiff, maybe I'll move my neck a little bit, and ended up standing up and doing the Qigong, and the whole thing settled. And so I just wanted to say the Sangha isn't just there for the good times, I guess. It's part of what I'm saying.
Amen.
And I just so appreciate there was just this anchor for me. And I didn't know if I wanted to share that or not, but I thought, yeah, I just wanted to let you know how appreciative I am.
Very thankful. Very helpful to hear of your process with that. Thank you. Well, perhaps we should set off about our day. I'm going to have a carefully social distanced first meeting with my grandsons in 6 weeks, I guess. I'm meeting them at a park. And it'd be an interesting challenge not to scoop them up, but that'd be nice. So, anything from anybody? Well, I think we should sing the song today for sure. You want to gather the wild creatures? Unmuting all. Here we go. Hi. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Wackadoo.
Thanks, Tim. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thanks for coming. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Goodbye, friends.